The very last video session in Project 5 is applying CSS to the form, which is cascading style sheets rules. And so that's what we are going to be doing next on page 254. First of all, to effectively format forms using CSS, you should remember that several HTML tags are used for the most objects in the form. So first of all, we have the actual form tag, which is clear up at the top. It's in essence what it is it is the casing that completely goes around the form. It opens at the very top and then will close at the very bottom. The second one are the input tags, and those are how we start each one of the form fields, each like first name, last name, so on and so forth. Another type that we used was the select tag, which created the drop down menu that had a list of selections. And then we also had the labels on each one of these, and the labels are what the person can see, like first name, last name. How did you hear about the Desert Voice Music Festival is also a label. So each one of these also has a label on it, and those are all considered HTML tags. Okay, now that we've talked a little bit more about the form itself, what we want to do is switch back to live view. We don't want to be in split view anymore, so get out of split view and just get into live view. And just to kind of give you an idea what it's going to look like. And then what it wants us to do is go back to the design pane. So we will click back in design. And what we're going to do is select the label for the checkbox field. So we're going to come down here to the checkbox field and we're going to select the label. And we're going to go over to our CSS Designer. Now, as soon as I open up CSS Designer, I want to make sure that I click on style.css. The second thing I want to be is in current, so I'm going to click the current tab after I have selected sources style CSS to show. And what this does is this only shows selectors related to the current insertion point. And then I'm going to go down and click on the P down here at the bottom just above the properties panel. And then what I want to do is choose. Okay, before we choose anymore, let's go ahead and put it in split view while on the P. The reason why I want you to see that we have indeed checked the whole paragraph value here. And what we are going to do is we are going to change the type that you see there to a heading 2. Now how you do that is down in the properties panel, you're going to see format and it's going to say paragraph. What you're going to do is click this drop down box and select heading 2. And you'll see indeed it did change it to heading 2. Now what we are going to do is we are going to go over to CSS Designer and go off of current and back onto all. And then we are going to add a new selector button, otherwise a new rule. And so we are going to click the plus sign in selectors. And what we're going to do is call this input, I-N-P-U-T, and hit enter or hit tab. You might want to, if you need to make more room, don't be afraid to drag this down, and input should be, where did it go? Okay, if you did it correctly, input should be clear down at the bottom of your selector list. So just make sure that you are selected on it. And then now we are going to program it. So the first thing we're going to do is start with the properties panel. And I am going to need to make room here so you can see what I'm doing. And the first thing we're going to do is go on the width. We are going to do percentages this time. So what we're going to do is put 100% in the width and hit tab. Then what we're going to do is go down to margins, and on margin bottom you want to put a 10 pixel bottom margin, so 10 px, tab. We are also going to float this, so let's go down to the float and give it a left float. And remember in the introduction I talked about clears. What we're going to do is we are going to clear both sides, which means we don't want anything else on the left or anything on the right. So we are going to click clear both. Now what you're going to notice is, take a look what just happened over here on the left hand side once we wrote the rules. Okay, you'll see everything has changed quite dramatically. And so we still have some work to do. Actually, so what we are going to do next is create one more new class selector, so a brand new rule. So let's click the plus sign again. And this time what we're going to do is create a class name. That class name is going to be period not clear with a C capitalized. So let's type period, okay, not clear, like so, and hit the tab key. You should see it at the bottom. No, mine didn't take, so I will do it one more time. And I'll hit enter this time. There it is. Okay, and so next thing you need to do is be on the no clear, and then we're going to define the properties. So let's go back on layout. What we're going to do is do an auto width. So just make sure it says auto. And we are going to give it a margin right. So we're going to come down here and define margin right as 10 px and hit tab. And then we're going to go down to the clear again, and this time what we're going to do is no clear, which is the last box. It's the square box with the line through it, and we're going to select that. Okay, so what we just did is we now have what's called a not clear or a no clear button. However you did it, I did not clear. It doesn't really matter. It's just the name. So in the design pane, what we are going to do is we're going to select the checkbox object right here, which right now is not where it should be. And we are going to go down to the bottom where it says class, and we are going to call this the no clear or the not clear and get it lined back up the way that it should be. The other thing that we need to do is we need to apply the no clear class to both buttons at the bottom of the form. So I'm going to highlight the, if I can, yeah, there you go. Make sure, how you know you've got the buttons highlighted once again are the dotted lines around it. Make sure the dotted lines are around the sign me up before you go down to the bottom. I'm going to go back into the class again, and I'm going to change that one to no clear. And then I'm also going to select the reset button and do the same thing. So I'm going to select the reset button and also do no clear to put those back in place and back in perspective. So what we did is we have our buttons back down to the normal size. We have our checkbox next to our text again the way that we are supposed to. And actually, I don't like the way the first and last name boxes are set up, and I do want you to spend time reading the green boxes on all the text form properties, because what those will do is tell you how to set how many characters you want for those boxes. And when the characters are set for those boxes, they won't be as long as what you see them right there. So it's really, really important that you read those 2 or 3 pages, I think it is, and do those read them thoroughly all the way through so you know how to build the maximum character boxes for first and last name. The next thing that I want you to do is go up to View, Live View, if I can find it here, Live View, like so, and then go back up to View, Live View Options, and what we're going to pick is Hide Live View Displays. All this does is show you what the form is going to actually look like once it's posted on, on the website. And again, I don't like these long first and last name boxes. Those can be set with characters. And in those 3 pages I told you to read, it will tell you how to do that. Once you have taken a look at this and you're done looking at it, please go back up to View, Live View Options, and turn off Hide Live View Displays. Okay, all you need to do at this point, we have finished all the steps in this chapter, is we're going to do a Control S to save, but there is one more thing you need to do. Let's go back to Files. Let's go back up to Manage Sites. And what we want to do is we want to make a site definition. So we're going to make sure that we are on voice. We are going to click the file that makes the STE. Make sure that we are residing inside of Voices. If not, find your Voices folder and get it open before you hit Save. Once you're inside of it, hit Save, hit Done, and that completes your classwork portion of Project 5. So it's now time for you to start working on your questions and answers, and also time for you to start working on the project. Very last thing you want to do is go up and do a file save all, just to make sure that you have saved everything, and then that should have finished everything for now. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back in Chapter 6.